Welcome to Subramani. I'm attempting a very difficult topic. First of all, to be able to predict which company to buy, you have to guess many things, and you have to get the sequence right and the size right. Let's say, for example, people will behave in a particular way. The question is being able to identify, therefore, who will benefit and what will happen, right? So let's look at Facebook. Facebook was very clearly a success because a lot of people did not want to go out and make friends, or they wanted to reach out to people. So Facebook became a big success, a huge hit. And also the usage of words like friend, it became very difficult to tell somebody that you're not my friend. So removing somebody from that group of yours, or unfriending as the word was coined, became very difficult, which meant more and more people became your friends, and these were not people whom you knew, right? So but people did go and make friends there, right? People were seeking some kind of a social acceptance. I think people took to running, cycling, swimming, etc., largely also because they could post on social media, right? So the fact that this is how people will change is very difficult to even accept. For somebody who is older to accept that you will buy a 70 rupee item or a 50 rupee item for 120 rupees because it's delivered to your house, is still very difficult to accept, because you do not know how the whole thing works. And I'm talking of something like a Zomato, right? He delivers it to you at a price way different from the price at which the product is available in the market. You may or may not know the difference, right? Sometimes you may not even know what is the price at which it is available. Then the cost, inconvenience of dressing up, having to go there, maybe taking a car and going, therefore the cost is anyway built in, right? So some of those changes which happened, it's very difficult for us to even accept that 20 years back or 30 years back, when people were less prosperous, would they have used services like Zomato? I don't know. I have my views on that, which could be different from your views. More importantly, you will make money only when everybody thinks like that, and everybody thinks therefore it is worth buying that particular share. For example, if you take the 1920s, or in my case, even if you take the 1980s, I would look for dividends, right? To me, dividend mattered. So if you take the 1920s of investing life, everybody was worried about one matrix called the book value, right? Book value was very important for Graham, and therefore people said, oh, if it does not have book value, I should not be buying it. Now, if you take some of the best companies today in terms of PE, etc., if you take an Amazon, you take Google or Alphabet, you take Netflix, you take Ola, Uber, any of these companies, they have no book, right? They have no assets, really no assets on paper to talk about. They got the asset that they have is really the system, the people, the training, the marketing reach, the tie-ups that Facebook has, the kind of movies that Netflix has, or the kind of book titles that Amazon has, right? These are the strengths that they have. This is not exactly assets the way we understood assets, which was brick and mortar, right? So that was not an asset. So this is an asset. So what is an asset itself is changing. So return on asset is not something which people are looking at. You come down to the 1960s and 70s, when people wanted something called a dividend, right? Some of you would be too young to know that there used to be a ratio called the PD ratio, which is the price to dividend ratio, and I very strongly used to subscribe to that, because ultimately when you bought a share, the only thing which you really got was the dividend, right? You of course had a resale value after 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, whatever. But typically, if you were the Buffett's child and you said, I'm holding it permanently, so what am I getting? Of course, you are getting appreciation, but I'm not encashing in the appreciation. So the only thing which I had to look forward to was the dividend. So the PD ratio mattered, and afterwards people told you, no, D does not matter, E matters. So we said, okay, PE ratio matters, and even today many of us chase the PE. But after some time, things started changing, and people said, no, that also does not matter. How much is the total revenue? That is what. So price to earning gave way to price to sales ratio, right? Then people said, oh, that also sales also doesn't matter, or the potential sales matter. So how many people come, how much is the footfall, how many people see the website, that matters, right? So eyeballs and all those things started mattering. But even in those days, even when eyeballs mattered, slowly people said, oh no, but earning should also matter. But afterwards, if you see it now, people are not worried so much about book value. People are not worried whether it is paying dividend, whether it is even making money, or what is the earning before depreciation, interest. EBITDA earning became more important. So people's view on a company, on the economy, and all that changes. You make money when you are able to predict that this is what will happen, this is the time frame in which it will happen, and everybody will think that this is worth buying. For example, I'm sure when an Uber was launched, it was not so popular. People would have wondered what is this. But today, Uber and Ola are household names. Who thought a company sitting in US making a software will be able to penetrate into every village in India or China, or of course they're not there in China, or every small country or a big country. They've been able to penetrate with just having. So there's no distribution cost, there's no manufacturing cost, there is no storage cost, right? Without all this, so the return on assets or didn't really matter. What you now look for is return on equity, whether the share is going to do well after some time, because right now they are in the phase of building up, so they need not make profits, right? They may have something else because of which they will be valued. So the value, how you will look at value in each company keeps changing, and when it changes so much, chances are you will not be able to predict the next move that is going to happen. And also the question of how sustained it will be. How many of us are willing to bet that Facebook in this format will exist in 2032? I'm not willing to take my bet, because I see a lot of youngsters today getting out of Facebook. I don't go to Facebook except maybe once in 2-3 weeks, or to look at some birthdays and things like that. Earlier I used to go more frequently, but we use Facebook to create our family groups, to create our school groups, college groups. All that got created on Facebook, but now we are in touch and we've shifted to WhatsApp. Will WhatsApp continue? Whether it will be in this format, again very difficult to say, because when email came, people said, wow, this is fantastic. So you would have thought, here if it's a company called Hotmail which will make a lot of money, well, it may have made, but then today Hotmail, many people may not even know that there used to be something called Hotmail. Today it is Gmail which has taken over. And Gmail is free, Google Maps are free. So where are they making money? They're making money elsewhere. So your ability to predict what will happen, in what time frame it will happen, and how the market will react, all this has to happen, and happen correctly. For example, if you said, oh, JLR takeover, Tatas will never be able to make money, maybe you are right. But if somebody had taken a view that the Tatas will be able to make money, maybe they were right. Somebody was right over 5 years, somebody was right over 15 years. Same thing for the Tata Steel takeover of Chorus. Didn't make money for a very long time. Market went into a recession, steel didn't do well, steel didn't do well in Europe. Then suddenly when the steel market turned, or the commodity market turned, today you find that Tata Steel is a very good buy and it is making a lot of money for you. I'm not recommending it, but I'm holding it. So that's the caveat, right? So how things change is very difficult to say, and how generation to generation, would the older generation have used some of these facilities? I don't know. Would we have had a multiple screen theaters or malls, would 20 years back or 30 years back? We don't know. Very difficult for you, and unless you can predict the generational shift, what will happen, how things will be delivered. Whoever thought that movies will be delivered to you at home, sitting in your home, and you can watch 3 movies in a day or 4 movies in a day without incurring any special extra cost, right? If you go to a screen today and watch 4 movies, which you can sitting in one location, you just have to change the screens, but would you do it? Maybe not. But will you sit at home and watch 2 movies, 3 movies? Maybe you will. So how data is created, how data is consumed, how data is delivered to you, how it is monetized, everything keeps changing. In this market, to be able to predict and make money is really difficult. So remember, you have to get all these right, and you have to have the ability to hold on for a long period of time. Sometimes when the market is up, sometimes so it's not a question of whether you would have made money if you had bought Facebook on day one at $10 if it was available, and today the price is doing so well, or same thing for Alphabet. The question is, could you have sat through the ups and downs and all that? So did you understand that Google will become such a big technology company? Did you understand that Uber is largely a technology company based on a software which is a fabulous software? I'm not even getting into it. The more you use Google, the more you use Netflix, the more you use Facebook and all those things, you understand that it's a fantastic front which you're seeing, and an extremely complicated back which you're not seeing, but it is giving you data so beautifully. YouTube, it keeps throwing up according to your algorithm based on your patterns. Netflix knows what movies you watch. Netflix knows that you watch this at 1.5. Netflix knows that when there is a song you skip it, when there is a fighting scene you skip it. So an extremely popular 2-hour movie is something which you watch in 42 minutes. They know everything about you. So somebody is capturing all that data. How are they going to use it? We don't know. So your ability is to get everything right to be able to make money, and the patience to sit through 20-30 years. Don't look at Facebook and Google as startups. They're no longer startups. They're all 25-year-old companies, right? That's when they made real money. Would you have sat through the whole 25-year journey? Ask yourself those questions. Thank you.